Hi, I'm Liz. I'm from Liz Argent Lampwork Artist and Jewelry Design. And this is going to form a series of tutorials that work in conjunction with my Instagram posts for Tools of the Trade Tuesday. Every Tuesday, I do a post on my Instagram talking about different tools and techniques that you can use in lampwork to make you a better lampwork artist, or at least try to make you a better lampwork artist. I am doing a whole series on dots. We're going to really start with the basics. And the reason being is that dots are the foundation of many lampwork designs. In fact, Karina Tettinger said in her book, Passing the Flame, if you could only learn one type of bead decoration, dots would be what I would try and talk you into. They really are the foundation of your lampwork designs. You can pile them, spin them, cluster them. You can poke them, push them, pull them into different shapes. And I often have people ask me about my floral beads and how I make them. And the foundation of my floral beads is actually dots. So I figured that'd be a good place to start. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about different techniques of dots. And as we progress each week, we'll finally get to doing florals. But like I say, we need to start off with the basics. So here's an example of what we're going to be covering each week. And on week 1, next week, we're going to be talking about how to apply dots to a bead and how to pull a proper stringer to apply dots to your beads. We'll show you how to apply them, and then you can either melt them in or leave them raised. These are the exact same bead. One is just melted down in and one is left raised up. Then the next week, we're going to talk about stacked dots. So this is a basic stacked dot bead. This shows that you put your initial dot down and then you stack alternating colors, one on top of the other in the center of the dot. And this gives you this stacked effect. In this case, it's white, black, and white. These stacked beads are a key element to doing florals. You will need to know how to do the stacked dots in order to be successful with the florals. Then the next week, we're going to look at a different type of stacked dot. These dots are placed on the top third and bottom third of your bead, and they alternate back and forth. It's a series of 4 dots, top and bottom. And then instead of stacking your dots in the center, you stack them at the bottom edge of each of the circles. This is another tool that you will need to have in order to do the florals. You end up with this beautiful sort of zigzag design, and it looks very complicated, but really it's very easy to achieve. The next week, we're going to look at doing poke dots. These poke dots are a way of capturing an air bubble inside a dot. And the air bubbles are what form the center of the flowers. The poke dots are very easy to do. And on their own, they're a beautiful little bead. Some people use stamen cane in the center of their flowers. I don't. I use the bubbles. And then in the second to last week, we're going to do a very basic floral bead consisting of starting off with 4 dots and adding a triangle of dots to each of those 4 dots. And you can see in this bead where the little air bubble is trapped in the center and forms the center of the flower. Now, the difference being between these stacked dots and the stacked dots in a floral bead is the floral bead, your initial dot is white, but the dots that you stack on top of that white are transparent instead of opaque. And as you move to the center of the bead, the transparent color gets a little more saturated. And that gives you that sort of beautiful gradation into the center of the flower. Then on the final week, we're going to do a floral bead from beginning to end. And I think you'll have fun with that. It's something that I love to do. I love to do florals, and the results are so beautiful. I always remember sitting down at the studio that I used to torch in before I had my own home studio. And there was a woman torching beside me. And she did the most beautiful floral beads. And I remember looking at those and thinking, I am never going to be able to do beads like that. And she gave me a piece of advice that I really took to heart. And she said to me, dots are your friend. You practice them, practice all kinds of dots, and if you perfect dots, the world of lampwork decoration will open up to you. And how true that was. This is definitely a skill that you want to have in your toolbox, because you are going to use it time and again when you are decorating your beads. So I'm going to start off talking about some real basic things in order to have a successful venture in doing dots. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is quality stringers. By that I mean having a stringer that's a consistent size from the beginning to the end. And next week in the video, I'm going to show you how to pull a consistent stringer. It seems like it'd be a very easy skill, but some people get really caught up on pulling stringers. And if you have a consistent stringer, that gives you a consistent dot. So what I can say to you is, if you have a stringer that's fat here, thin here, then it's a big blob here, then it's really skinny here, when you melt your stringer in the flame, you're going to get different size gathers on the end of your stringer. And then when you place those gathers down on your bead, they're going to be a different size as you go around. It's going to be very difficult to get a consistent dot as you go around. So consistent stringers are really a very important key to getting quality dots that are the same size as you go along. Then we're going to talk about your dominant hand. I'm left-handed, so my dominant hand is my left hand. And I hold my stringer like a pencil. Some people hold their stringers like this, and some people even twist their stringers as they apply them to the bead. I don't do that. I keep my stringer stable as I'm applying it. Your dominant hand is the hand that normally you write with, but you will get the hang of what hand feels most comfortable with applying your stringer. And again, it's just practice. The other thing that we're going to talk about is rhythm. Rhythm is very important, getting a rhythm. Different people do the rhythm in different ways. Some people count, some people have a piece of music running in their head and they come down and up and in and out of the flame. But getting that rhythm will help you get a consistent size of dot as you go along. What you're going to be doing is going down into the flame, getting a gather, up out of the flame, down to the bead, up into the flame, release the stringer, and there you have your dot. So it's down, up, onto the bead, up, release, down, up, onto the bead, up, release. So you can see where there's a little bit of a rhythm that goes on there. You'll also note that the one thing that's very important when you're doing your beads is to have a good canvas. And by having a good canvas, I mean getting your bead properly situated on the mandrel so that it's even all the way around, and that you have nice puckered ends on your bead. You can kind of see as I bring that in and out of the light, the puckered ends on the bead. I have a method for doing puckered ends. I've talked to a couple of Lampwork artists who have the same method, and I think it's pretty foolproof. I'll share it with you and you can see if it works for you. Everybody's different, but I seem to have pretty consistent puckered ends when I do my bead. If you have a nice canvas to apply your dots to, you are going to find that your dots will go on nice and even, and you'll have an easier time trying to judge where the dots should go. If your bead's all lopsided, your dots are never going to look like they're equal going around. So it's important to practice making your disc beads so that your dots sit evenly on the canvas or on the base bead. And finally, you'll notice that with the exception of the poke bead, I've used black and white. Black and white sort of provides your ultimate contrast, and it is really, they are two of the easiest colors to work with. The beauty with using white on black is when white is heated, of course it goes transparent, but then it fills back in and you can see the color come back into the dot, and you'll know when it's set up. White is a great way to practice doing your stringer dots, and with that contrast, it's easy to see where you're going. So I suggest that it doesn't have to be black. You can do like a deep blue, but really white sits nice on black, or you can do black on white. I just prefer the white because you can see the white setting up, and it helps also too when we're talking about how to pull proper stringer. So that's what we're going to talk about over the next few weeks, and I'm really excited to share this with you. So tune in, and we'll cover the basics of dots next week, doing a dot bead and making the foundation bead, getting nice puckered ends, and pulling a great stringer. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next week.